Tangata whenua or Māori somehow are the only people who care, or at least care more than other people, about the natural environment and resources. That's not true. New Zealanders from all walks of life care deeply about our natural environment and about conserving what makes New Zealand such a great place, which is our connection to the land. But it is also true that not every Māori person is an environmentalist. I'm sure there's some Māori people who don't care much about the environment whatsoever, as there are some non-Māori people, and there are some people who are not Māori but do care about the environment. And this is my point. What they are saying is that we are somehow bound by our ancestry to play a role in the society that we live in. What I'm saying is that each of us are a human being with the same basic rights and dignity. We all come in different shapes and sizes and attitudes and backgrounds, but we should not try and assume that all people fit into a group based on their race or their ancestry. That used to be called racism, discrimination, stereotyping, the things that I would have thought we'd all be against. Today it's paraded as a legitimate view. I don't think it is well, it's legitimate to express it, but I don't think it's a legitimate view. Equality and universal human rights, that's what we're about, and that's what this bill is about.
The moment the camera blinks awake, you can practically hear the kettle boiling in the background, because today's episode kicks off with the energy of a Kiwi who's had far too much breakfast adrenaline and not nearly enough common sense to slow down. You know that feeling when your cousin tells you he's just fixing the lawnmower, then suddenly there's smoke, sirens, and a confused neighbor holding a sausage roll? That's the exact vibe as we dive into the latest political theater, starring an absolutely sensational showdown where Seymour, in full dramatic glory, manages to tear through arguments like a seagull ripping open a packet of hot chips on a windy Dunedin beach. And look, before we go any further, this is parody, all right? We are not here to endorse, destroy, cancel, or crown anyone. We're just here to laugh, shake our heads, and wonder how on earth politics became the most binge-worthy reality show in Aotearoa. So picture this. The Senate room is humming, everyone sitting up with the posture of students trying to look like they did the homework, and in swoops this clip from a co-leader laying it all out like she's explaining the last pudding disappearing from the fridge. She says this bill isn't about equity or equal rights. Nah, nothing so wholesome. According to her, it's the final stand, the last bastion, that don't touch our stuff or the whole moana will crumble like a stale lamington kind of argument. And she says, with a tone that would make Gandalf proud, that if you remove certain rights, you basically open the floodgates to exploitation. Exploitation of the whenua, exploitation of the moana, exploitation of pretty much anything that even vaguely resembles nature. She's painting a picture of doom so dramatic it makes the Lord of the Rings soundtrack start playing in your head. And then the host looks over, teeing Seymour up like, "Right mate, what's your response to that?" And Seymour, cool as a cucumber left too long in the fridge, leans into the mic as if he's been waiting his whole life to unleash this next bit. He starts by saying it's a really interesting clip for a whole bunch of reasons, the political equivalent of saying bless your heart. And off he goes. First point, she's claiming that Maori, tangata whenua, or anyone grouped into that category are somehow the only people who care, or at least care more than anyone else, about the natural environment. And Seymour says, well hold up, that's not true. He reminds everyone that people from all walks of life, every corner of New Zealand, care deeply about the environment. From the tramper with a backpack full of muesli bars to the retiree who still picks up rubbish on their morning walk, to the kid demanding compost bins in the school cafeteria. Caring about nature isn't exclusive, it's just part of being a Kiwi, like mispronouncing French words or pretending you know how rugby works. And then he goes further, like a lecturer who's just realized the class is awake and interested for once. He says, not every Maori person is an environmentalist. And not every non-Maori person isn't. Some Maori don't care about the environment much at all, and some non-Maori care deeply. And honestly, he's not wrong. Every family's got that one uncle who won't recycle even if you threaten to hide his jandals. People are complicated, not cardboard cutouts. But he uses this point to swing at a bigger idea, the argument that ancestry determines everything. He says that the idea that we are bound by our ancestry to play a particular role in society is flawed. According to him, each person is a human being with the same basic rights and dignity, regardless of what their waka papa looks like or where their great-grandparents happen to be standing in 1840.